It's a cool, brisk day in Indianapolis, Indiana. The field of 25 has been winnowed down to just 10 that now have a chance to battle for pole position for tomorrow's third running of the Indianapolis 8-hour. While tomorrow's race into the twilight will be a test of endurance, this, the pole shootout, is about raw speed. We're about to set the top 10 starting positions for the third running of the Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli's North American round on hallowed ground in North American motorsports, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan Marine, Calvin Fish, and Bob Varsha joining me in the broadcast booth. Amanda Busick is down in the pit lane. We saw a dramatic three-driver qualifying session earlier this afternoon, Calvin. It has left us with just 10 cars that have a chance to shoot for pole honors, and it's down to just a single nominated driver to look for that magical lap at Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's a fun time for these drivers who have been selected to do this pole shootout, and I think the biggest surprise is really seeing just one Mercedes in this top 10 shootout. A few of the teams got it wrong in terms of electing to wait and bide their time in that opening session. 3 15-minute sessions for the driver in the opening session. We had a red flag, of course, some of the teams out, and that's turned this, what we anticipated in terms of who's going to be on board for this, a little bit upside down, let's put it that way, but it should certainly set up nicely for a race tomorrow here, Ryan, with some of those cars coming from the back of the pack.
No question about that. You mentioned the Mercedes, US Racetronics, Sun Energy 1, two of the teams caught out. Of course, also neither of their cars advancing to this pole shootout, but it's still a stout group of 10, Bob, that are about to do battle for pole position. This has been the car, though, that's dominated the storylines today, Conquest Racing, and they've nominated Alessandro Balzan to do qualifying duties today.
And he'd be my favorite to take the position. We'll see. They are in so many ways the home team because of their long history here with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But let's not talk about the teams that didn't make it. We've got the 10 here who did, and they grabbed the spotlight now in the search for the ultimate lap time.
Let's talk about those teams. K-Pax Racing, both cars advancing. It'll be Andrea Caldarelli in the 1, Jordan Pepper in the 3. How about Triarci Competizione? They get the 13 car through. Ryan Dial will qualify that Ferrari 488 GT3 2020 Evo. Behind him, we see Jules Gounon for Mercedes-AMG Team Windward Racing. Had a rapid lap going in his qualifying session, caught a red flag late. Not sure if that lap counted, but we know he's got some serious pace. We also see Alessio Rivera set to qualify in the sister Triarci car. Conquest Racing, as mentioned, Alessandro Balzan will do the driving. And then Racer's Edge Motorsports with Mario Farnbacher, Bimmer World with Bill Auberland, Turner Motorsport with Robbie Foley, and Andretti Autosport with Vital Speed, Jeff Westphal. And that previous generation Ferrari you're looking at just a moment ago, that yellow Ferrari there on pit lane. It's a who's who of GT racing standouts, and we're about to see who gets the bragging rights at the end of this pole shootout.
Ferrari would seem to be the car to have. Of course, the driver makes a huge difference, but 4 of our top 10 are Ferraris. 2 Lamborghinis, as you mentioned, an Acura, a couple of Mercedes, and a BMW.
Curious to see if it's
2
Alice or
BMWs.
Gounon on board the Windward car. That was our list came through with Gounon as the selected driver, but the numerics there on the windshield kind of indicate it was Alice on board, so we'll try and get clarification for you there. Either one, I think, has the ability with that Mercedes to get the job done.
If he wasn't in the car, he might not have plugged in his transponder yet.
Sorry, Bob. Another late change that's been communicated to me by a member of the press. Evidently, there was contact, you'll recall, late in the third qualifying session between Bill Auberland and Miguel Molina that took Miguel Molina out effectively. A penalty, it appears, has been issued to the Bimmer World team. They will not take part, from what I've been told, in this pole shootout, and evidently must start the race tomorrow from the pit lane. We'll look to get that clarified, but I'm told that that is indeed the case. So whether or not that means Samantha Tan Racing has been elevated into this mix, or if it will be 9 cars vying for those positions and for pole position, that remains to be seen. But the ST Racing car, that was the one right outside the cut line. Remember, 74 thousandths of a second, the only difference between being in and out at the end of a 3-driver average.
Yeah, Harry Gottsacker just did a tremendous job. I mean, that third stint that he put together really got them so close. So It's unfortunate if there has been a penalty if they have not had enough time to really alert the ST Racing team that they are essentially 10th.
Good news from Amanda. ST Racing is there, gridded up. They are ready to go. So this backs up everything that I've been told. And also Amanda confirming Jules Gounon is in the car and will take to the qualifying for the Windward Racing team. Now, this is interesting. This is the Craft Bamboo Mercedes. They were not amongst those that made it through. Now, Calvin laid out the details of what happened in that qualifying session. The red flag in the first qualifying session meant that several teams and cars did not set representative lap times. It is a 3-driver average. Now, we understand that there were a couple of teams, Craft Bamboo being one, that appealed the way that that was handled, and the late arrival of that car to the pit lane could indicate some further changes. We shall see. So stay with us. This is a developing story, as they say in the news world.
No one in the car yet.
Doesn't look like it. All right. Well, we do know K-Pax will be there. No mystery about that.
Seeing double.
Yes. Yes. And the two K-Pax cars, they've been so strong all season, first and second. As far as the two cars are concerned in points, really the first 4 drivers' positions all belong to K-Pax drivers. They've had a number of driver lineup variations throughout the season, so not everyone, not all the teammates are on the same level points-wise. It's been a great year for them, and that looks like Raffaele Marciello getting set to climb aboard this Mercedes. So throw that spanner into the works.
Not sure what to say.
Then do what your mama told you. Don't say anything at all.
Hey, I got my rental car back. Take it down.
That would be interesting.
Yes,
Oh, boy.
certainly bizarre.
A, of course, also appears to be rolling a car out there, as we can see in the pit lane. The session was supposed to start at 4:55. Clearly, we've run a little long, so working to get that figured out. And maybe Amanda's got some answers for us.
I think we may be delayed for this decision that we're waiting to hear from race control on the appeal. The Craft Bamboo team has put Raffaele Marciello in the car in case they do get into this pole shootout, but the team awaiting that decision, kind of pacing around, but Raffaele ready to go just in case.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. And, you know, look, you might not know whether or not you're making it in. As I mentioned, of course, they're also doing the same thing here. Credit to the teams, though, not waiting for the results of the appeal, being ready in case they win that appeal to be able to take advantage of the situation.
My understanding, just getting a text from race control, is that there has been appeal based on the fact that that first session did not run 10 minutes. So that's the appeal process that the teams are trying to get clarified here.
All right, so we will tread water as we try to figure out what's going on and let race control sift through that appeal. There was not much time, it's worth noting, between that qualifying session and this pole shootout. Just 2 hours, in fact, in between. And a number of the race control staff are busy with some of the other series racing here, too. So to get all of this attended to in that short amount of time, not an easy task. These appeals take quite a bit of time to work through oftentimes. So they'll try to do so as expeditiously as possible, and we'll get underway for qualifying. As you can see, the shadows growing long here on the front straightaway at Indianapolis.
And the track getting cooler without that radiant energy from the sun to warm it up. We expect very cold temperatures tomorrow, though we're not sure what race time will be, probably in the low to mid 50s. But when we all arrive at the racetrack tomorrow morning, it could be in the 30s.
It is a chilly fall here in Indianapolis, no question about that. But the good news is no rain in the forecast. If folks remember, the first edition of this race was held in similar temperatures, but with some rain mixed in as well, and that made for some treacherous conditions. Amanda, what do you have for us down pit side?
Well, you can see Antonio Fuoco has his helmet on. He just said through the helmet, you know, we still don't know if we're in or not. And if you had to give the appeal to race control, what would you say?
I mean, we still don't know, so we are ready and we'll see.
What do you know is possible for your qualifying effort? You know you guys can do a combined result, but where do you think you could end up if you're in this pole shootout?
I don't know. It's quite difficult because we didn't do the lap before, so we will see. Before, I mean, we try to be in, and then we see, but it will be difficult.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks to Antonio as well, who came up just short of clinching the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup Championship 1 week ago in Barcelona. It was a valiant effort, came up just a little bit short in that attempt, but right back into the race car here on a different continent, much different racetrack as well here at Indianapolis. And no matter where they start, I still think those cars have a chance to factor in after 8 hours, Bob. The A, of course, is so strong institutionally. They've had success here in the past. They were very quick 1 year ago.
You can't beat experience. And you heard the concern about not getting many laps coming into this all-important top 10 shootout. Well, helmet off now. Have we seen a puff of smoke up the chimney?
Just looking at the rules, guys, going back over here, and it says qualifying sessions will be a maximum of 15 minutes per session with, whenever possible, a minimum of 10 minutes cumulative green flag time. Well, whenever possible, they were up against the clock with other races going on today. You couldn't go on forever. So it doesn't guarantee, my point is it's not a guaranteed 10 minutes of green flag time per session.
Which appears to be at the root of the
At least,
appeal.
yeah.
And we'll let that get adjudicated by powers that be. But thanks, Cal, for digging that up. As ever, an invaluable resource when it comes to the rules are Calvin Fish. Mario Farnbacher set to go for pole. He's been on pole for an 8-hour IGTC race stateside before, but of course that was at Laguna Seca many years ago, where he put the Jazz Racing HPD Acura on pole, Honda, depending on what you want to call it, depending on where it's racing. Here in the States and in China, it's an Acura. Overseas in Europe and elsewhere, it's a Honda. So you got an update for us, Calvin?
Yeah, I think we're getting word that the protest is going to be disallowed based on what we just said there. You know, there's no guarantee of that minimum green flag time per session. So I think we're going to be underway here shortly and anticipate a start in about 5 minutes.
Still a big boost for this team to make it into the top 10 due to the penalty to the Bimmer World car. It's a real bummer for Bimmer World because they had a chance to have a great starting position. Bill Auberlin, theoretically, you would think, would get the shot to qualify the thing. Instead, they have to start from pit lane, and the most amazing part of this, the whole crux of it, is the contact that he had was with the car that was never going to advance anyway because they didn't set a time in the first qualifying session. So that has to be all the more painful to digest.
Yeah, I think there was more to it than what we saw because I think on the moment that we saw the contact and where the right rear suspension was broken on Molina's car, I don't lay all of that on Bill Auberlin. I mean, Molina went in deep, came back across, and ultimately they shouldn't have been trying to share the same part of the racetrack. But either way, I think it develops and the stewards make the call.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but definitely frustration for them. That's a team that's been through their fair share of frustration. They've had a lot of good results. If you followed us this season, you know they've been a fixture on the podium in Fanatec GT Pro-Am, but have not yet got that win. Hoping to do that here this weekend, of course, but they'll have to do so from the pit lane. Sounds like Amanda's got some more news. What have you learned?
Well, Craft Bamboo was that team that filed the appeal. I did hear that their race engineer was up in race control up until just moments ago. The team has been told that they will not make it into the shootout here today. That was from Daryl at Craft Bamboo. So gotta appreciate the willingness to get ready here on pit lane, but Raffaele Marciello out of the car. So I believe the top 10 as it was will stay.
Appreciate it, Amanda. Thank you so much for all your hard work trying to get to the bottom of this throughout the course of this show. So that's a bummer. It's a beautiful-looking race car. They had a chance to be up at the front. Anytime Marciello is qualifying one of these Mercedes AMGs, he's going to figure in some capacity, but denied that opportunity after the appeal, it sounds like, was rejected. And so our top 10, let's review 2 K-Pax cars, 2 Triarci cars. Windward with their Mercedes is through. Conquest, Racer's Edge, Turner, Andretti Autosport, and ST Racing, the teams that will be making up this pole shootout that is about to get underway.
Who got into the ST car? Did we notice?
I would assume Nick
Godsacker?
Whitmer.
Whitmer's the
Whitmer?
leader, but I mean, Godsacker's pace was amazing. I think he was a good half-second quicker than Nick. Admittedly, the car's a bit lighter on fuel because you run the same fuel load for all three drivers.
But the tires have been on same set of tires for all three also, and he was the last to go. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. I
Good
think
problem to have.
Yes, with the experience of Nick Whitmer, you'd think that's the direction they'd go, but Harry Godsacker, he's driven this car with this team in a number of endurance races, including Spa this year, and he's had a lot of seat time in touring cars, TCR, the last several seasons, too.
Chatted with Robbie Foley after the qualifying session. He said they had an issue with one of the front tires being way down on pressure, so they didn't really get the ultimate out of his run. So let's see what he can come up with here in the pole shootout.
Let's get the answer to our question. Who is in the ST Racing car, Amanda?
Well, now that they find themselves in the shootout, Samantha, who is in the car? And update us on how you guys found out you'd be racing in the shootout.
Yeah, actually, our car was in pieces when we got the news, so the team scrambled and got the car back together when we found out. Nick Whitmer is currently in the car. He's going to go give it his all.
The car looked great in pre-qualifying. Now that you have another shot at this, what do you think the BMW can do?
I mean, yeah, grateful for the second chance. I mean, Nick's a fast driver. We have so much faith in him, so I know he's just going to do a great lap.
They've got big plans in the future. Samantha has big aspirations. She's been gearing up to get to Le Mans one day. Sounds like she could be doing some other North American endurance races in the future, maybe more than that. But, yeah, they've got a big plan in place.
They've got some good people there. Nick Johnson has been her advisor for a couple of years now. He's not here this weekend. He's actually competing over in Europe with Tracy Krohn. But he's done a great job in terms of just really building her confidence, getting her really focused on her fitness and the whole approach to racing. There's so much to it when you get someone like Nick Johnson's experience, and he's pretty forceful. He's not afraid to tell you where it's at, and I think he's a good fit for that role.
Notice they had Harry Godsacker's name on their leader lights.
I think what we're seeing, because I saw that with the women cars, whoever finished in the third session hasn't been reset till you probably drive out of pit lane, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I've noticed the same
control
thing.
line.
Exactly. How about this team? Triarsi Competizione. They've been a Ferrari Challenge team for several years, had some success there, made their first GT3 race starts last season down in Sebring with us, and then also ran a long distance, I believe a 24-hour race there later in the year in the off-season, stepping up to Fanatec GT World Challenge America for the first time for a full season this year. They win the AM Class Championship. They've got a win in the Pro-Am class, Ryan Dial and Justin Wetherell, and now both of their cars against this field make it through to the top 10 shootout.
Well, the Ferrari's quick. We saw that with Conquest laying down the fastest lap of the day with Balzan. So, and this is a really neat team. I mean, young, but some really good key people, great engineering force there, tons of experience, and a couple of really fast drivers as well. Dial's been on form this year.
It shows what GT3 racing is all about. Turnkey race cars, you buy them from the manufacturer, ready to race, and if you've got a smart engineer and a good crew, it doesn't take a whole lot to be pretty competitive with these machines out of the box.
Nothing should stand in your way, right?
Right.
I mean, you got a homologated car. Everyone's got the same beast. Yeah, you got to turn the knobs and tune it in a little bit. But if you got a good car, good engineer, you should be able to get the job done. And I think that's what's great about this platform that has been established by Stefan Rattel with the GT3 formula. It's the global stage. You can take the equipment, move it around the world like Winwood are doing, and other teams like AF Corsa running multiple championships. Take the same notebook. Admittedly, some championships run a different tire, but a lot of it carries over, and I think that's what's so appealing for these teams.
These are such great looking cars.
And here we go. 15 minutes to determine who will start from pole for the third annual Indianapolis 8-hour. Two Ferraris leading the charge down pit lane. Ferrari generally has been leading the charge here this weekend. But look at the drivers nominated.
Gives a whole new meaning to bells and whistles when you look inside one of these cars. doesn't
That's
it?
right. But the 10 drivers set to go. Andrea Caldarelli, Jordan Pepper, Ryan Dial, Alessio Rivera, Jules Gounon, Alessandro Balzan, Mario Farnbacher, Robbie Foley, Jeff Westphal, Nick Whitmer. Champions all, stars in their own right, and it comes down to them to settle these top 10 positions.
And it's an 8-hour race tomorrow, but they still want this badly.
Yeah.
This is where the ego of a race car driver really kicks in, when it's just you, fresh tires, light fuel load, and a great racetrack. This is a pretty special moment.
Here we go, out for the out laps. Ball's on the first car to take to the track.
Key is what you do your starting pressures with. Talking to some of the drivers, they really feel the peak lap is around lap 2 or 3. And if you start your pressures a little bit lower, maybe you go a bit deeper, maybe a bit more rubber down. Maybe someone will wait and play the game like we saw earlier in the day in terms of the rubber going down and making a late charge for the pole.
We will soon see. No waiting around from either of these teams. Conquest and Andretti Autosport with Vital Speed. A couple of Ferraris, slightly different spec between the two. Up onto the front straightaway. Here comes Alessandro Balzan and Jeff Westphal off on the first flyers of the pole shootout.
If you ever wanted a carrot in front of you, Jeff Westphal has the man who's laid down the fastest lap of the day here. Alessandro Balzan. This car has just been hooked up since we've seen it at Sebring. That sort of pace has been demonstrated here this weekend as well, Ryan.
That it has. And this is an audition. We heard Manny Franco, who shared this car with Alessandro Balzan at Sebring. He is evaluating all 3 drivers in this lineup and potentially more to see who his teammate will be. A full season campaign scheduled for the 2023 season.
These are really just preparation laps. Make sure you don't flat spot a tire. Tires have come out of the ovens, but they're not up to pressure yet. They're not going to give you the full grip, so just be careful here. Just gradually bring them in. Just be ready to start that flying lap. So you don't want to be charging in this corner just yet. Just be nice and easy through here. Get your line right. Get set up to get onto that speedway and start the flying lap as you cross the stripe.
What does the body language of this car as we watch it tell you, Calvin?
It looks pretty good. It's not totally settled yet, so I think it's still a little on edge. Pressures aren't quite there yet.
This is a chance, too, for the driver to check out the condition of the track. Where are the marbles? There's been other races. Where's the dirt been kicked up onto the track?
Pretty nice first lap there by Balzan, a 122.5, so that's only half a second off his fast lap of the day. And here comes Rivera, purple middle sector. That means he's faster than all the drivers through that sector, and he goes to the top.
22.4.
1/10 clear of Balzan. It's Ferrari 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, they're the only 4 that have set times to this point. All 10 cars are on track, by the way. No one waiting, no one risking getting caught out by a red flag.
Jordan Pepper fastest in sector 1. Personal best sector 2, about a 10th down on Caldarelli, who now goes fastest in sector 2. So the Lamborghinis are in this mix here. There you see his teammate, just behind him by about 10 car lengths.
Lamborghini visibly sliding on Jordan Pepper, the South African ace. Up onto the front straightaway. Does he have enough to challenge Rivera's speed? Yes, he does. Jumps to P1 by 41 thousandths of a second, but Rivera is on a flyer. Just reset the first sector, the fastest lap through the first sector of the track. Did not have a great middle sector, however.
So Pepper to the top with a 122.39. Balzan pips him by just a 100th of a second and 122.38.
Balzan, Pepper, Rivera, Caldarelli, Barnbacher, the top 5. Rivera had that great first sector, gave up some speed in the middle. What can he do this time around? Alessio Rivera jumps back to the top by 58 thousandths, a 122.329.
12 hundredths of a second between the top 4 right now. Here comes Robbie Foley. Don't think this is going to be enough to get to the top. It may put him on row 2 or 3, I would think. 5th fastest.
22.6 for the Turner team. New livery for them this weekend. Here's Mario Farnbacher chasing a Pro-Am championship in this race alongside Ashton Harrison, Christina Nielsen, padding out that driver lineup. Super Mario onto the front straightaway.
Decent lap, not a great one. See if it moves him up at all. Currently 6. Stays 6. 600 slower.
Gugnon is in the pits and has only completed 2 laps.
That's a big surprise. We expected him to be a factor for the pole, the only Mercedes in this pole shootout.
This is the car. Windward Racing, the team. No scramble.
Maybe they're just waiting. Maybe they're just rolling the dice here. Track is going to start to cool off a little bit here late in the day. And also the rubber's going to increase, so there could potentially be more grip.
Farah with a great middle sector. He's so close to improving his own time. 26 thousandths off through the middle sector of the lap.
Goes
and indeed,
faster.
Yep.
Raises the bar to a 122.283. Here comes Foley on another flyer. Personal best sector 2. Can he move up a little bit? Go to 10th. He may be on row 2. Pip Caldarelli potentially. No.
No.
Not quite. Needed 7 more hundredths.
Gave up a little bit in that final sector. Caldarelli's got a decent one going.
K-Pax have locked out row 2 at the moment, so it's Ferrari front row sweep, Lamborghini second row sweep at the moment, then a BMW, then an Acura, another Ferrari, then a BMW, another Ferrari, and the Mercedes. Are they playing the game or are they in trouble?
Here comes the North American champion. He stands alone this year, but back-to-back crowns for Caldarelli. Can he challenge for pole? Not this lap. He settles in 4th.
It's an improvement, but not enough to pip his teammate Jordan Pepper.
Ball's on. 2nd by a 10th. How about after this lap? He goes P1.
Wow, this is so nip and tuck. Just 400ths in it between the two Ferraris as they change positions. And here they go. Tire strap back on out of the ovens. Can Gunon spring the surprise here in the final moments of this pole shootout?
Caesar said when he crossed the Rubicon, the die is cast for the Windward team. They rolled the dice and it might just come up their way. Currently at the bottom, having yet to set a time, but just now strapping the tires on for one last dash as conditions optimize deep in this run. Pole shootout, Nick Whitmer for the ST Racing team, promoted into this shootout at the last moment, does not improve, still down in the 8th spot.
Got a lot of straightaway speed, 268 kilometers an hour is his terminal trap speed. That's the fastest. Pepper lets his teammate by. Caldarelli doesn't look like it's a flyer, not personal best in sector 1 or 2. I don't think he can dig one out here.
He almost looked surprised to see Pepper there, at least to my eye. Let's check the time. Had a good 3rd sector, actually, at 22.5. His previous best at 22.4.
It's a big chunk of time to find 3/10 at this stage of the game.
The BMWs running together. How about Nick Whitmer?
Wow,
Late call up, late addition, and he's pushing.
He's trimming Rogers' grass for him.
Personal best in sector 1 for Whitmer. He falls off in the middle section.
That's Foley up ahead and similar BMW. He bails to pit lane. Whitmer hangs with it. Got a predictive on his lap. He'll know what sort of lap he's on, as telling these drivers as they circulate what sort of lap they've got going.
Headed toward the famed yard of bricks, all that remains of the original pavement put down prior to the 1911 inaugural running of the Indianapolis 500. Here is Jules Gounon. First hot lap starts now with 5.5 minutes to go. Everyone else has taken the peak out of their Pirellis. He's going to give it a chance.
4 cars are in the pits, so he has a lot of racetrack available.
The lock up there. I think it was rear lock up as he got to the brakes. He'll need to dial that a little bit. You've got a brake bias adjustment you can make. Can they spring the surprise? Have they played the game perfectly in terms of optimum track conditions? Fast car, fast driver. They went out there. You are allowed to come in, work on the car, and all the times to that point are deleted. So that's essentially what they did by putting the tires back on. It could have been a different set of tires. Just did kind of a recce lap there when they first went out. Brought him back in. He knows the balance. Said, yeah, let's throw some stickers on it and go for it.
It's in the ballpark, at least through the first sector. Look at that, flirting with the edge of the track, kicking up the dust with the left side wheels, trending the right direction.
Not purple, but certainly this is a solid lap here. Let's see what he can put together. I think this next lap will potentially be his best. So This will be just kind of a banker lap and then see what you can lay down on this next one.
Here comes Gunan. Has more or less this track to himself. Here's his first lap. 22.195. How about that? P1, Jules Gunan bumping Balzan off the pole.
Boy, his sector 3 must have been something else.
That was special. That was very special. Will he hang with it here? Will he try and dig deep and try and raise the bar a little bit more? I don't think anyone's out there who's going to really respond to this. I think he's clear and he's going to get this pole position, but he's still pushing hard.
The remarkable thing about it, none of the 3 sectors were the overall best.
Now he is. Right. Now he just laid down.
Now he went purple.
In sector 1.
This could be really special. 6 cars are in the pits, only 4 on the track.
Can Gunan dip into the 21s here?
Still got the golden lap in the tires.
He's up nearly 2/10 on his best lap through sector 1 alone. Here's the run to the timing line in sector 2. Jules Gunan, the Frenchman for the American team. Windward Racing gave a little bit of that back, but still trending to be his best lap yet.
It's going to be awfully close if he can maintain this pace to that 22 flat range. 122.195 is the pole right now. Here he comes. Flat out through here on good tires, heading for the stripe.
Up onto the front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jules Gunan across the line. Better still, only marginally, about 0.005 of a second, but he does better that mark at 122.190.
I think that's it.
I think it is too.
Yeah, he's peaked.
How about this? The top 3 guys separated by 41 thousandths of a second. The top, just the top 4 by about a couple tenths. I mean, it is remarkable how close. Sorry, 93 thousandths separating the top 3. Just a couple tenths between the top 5.
And this team has just been on form all summer long. Just had heartbreak after heartbreak, kept digging deep. And suddenly they went on that win streak, won 5 in a row collectively across 2 North American championships, including this one. Almost won at Petit Le Mans last weekend, just got elbowed out of the way by the prototypes late in the going. Otherwise, it could have been 6 on the bounce.
Dial did find a little more speed on his last lap, improved 1 spot from 9th to 8th, and 3rd in the Pro-Am class. Provisionally, the Pro-Am pole to the sister car, and Alessio Rivera up in 3rd overall. Mario Farnbacher, 2nd in Pro-Am, 7th overall. Puts Racer's Edge, admittedly it's a long race, but in a good position to vie for the title.
Philip Ellis there, Russell Ward looking on. Great group. Bryce Ward, Russell's dad, has given this team the resources to go and do their job. Ed Hall has been drafted in this off-season. He has a ton of experience, and he has really kind of just gelled everything together, just kind of molded this team into a winning combination.
What a lap from Jules Gunan, and what a gamble by Windward. We saw that exact strategy bite a number of teams in the earlier qualifying session.
But I see rolling the dice here.
Yes.
When you're the AF Corsa team and you got the pace to be in that top 10 comfortably, why risk anything like that? Yeah, you might gain a 10th or 2, but you know, going for the pole, they knew they had it all to gain here by just getting the optimum track conditions and laying one down.
Think about this too for Gunan. This is a comeback story in some respects. He has suffered a back injury, fractures to 2 vertebrae back in August at VIR. Had a big crash there. Had to sit out some races earlier this year in September, and has come back stronger. So remarkable story.
And keep in mind, he is going for his 3rd, actually his 4th straight IGTC victory overall.
And there is the checkered flag. So it's done and dusted unless Ryan Dial finds some magic in this final sector. Does not look like that's in the cards. He still can improve his own starting position. And there is the happy man, Jules Gunan, getting the congratulations and adulation from his team. Well deserved.
I won't laugh at his bobble hat anymore. Obviously works.
You can dream it, you can do it inscribed on the side of his helmet. An appropriate motto for a racing driver.
Selfie time.
Dial has bailed on that lap, ends up 8th overall, 3rd in Pro-Am, just 7 thousandths off of Farnbacher for 2nd in class. Look at the hugs all around. Here comes Russell Ward into the picture.
I'm the guy in the fueler's helmet, trust me.
Well, that did not disappoint.
No.
Plenty of drama. We had to wait a little extra time for it, but the fireworks showed up with Windward Racing rolling the dice and coming up all 6s. Jules Gounon and Mercedes-AMG, what will be on the pole for the 3rd annual Indianapolis 8-hour. Balzan, Rivera, 2nd and 3rd. Strong showing for Ferrari. Then you get to the K-Pax cars, 4th and 5th in the order. Down to Amanda, who's got our pole sitter.
And he's got to head to Tech, so got back in the car. But Jules, the strategy of waiting to, I think it was 7 minutes left on qualifying. Talk about that team strategy ahead of the shootout.
Yeah, we just wanted to maximize the performance of the car, and that was part of it by warming up the brakes to the optimal temperature so I could go out and try to extract the absolute maximum of the car on the new tires, and I think that's what we did today. So I would like to thank Windward for such a great car, my 2 teammates also for trusting me to put me in Super Pole, and it's a long race, but it's always a cool feeling to be on pole in Indianapolis.
Well, it was by 0.05 of a second, and Jules Gounon could wrap up the championship in Intercontinental GT, and he put himself on the pole.
I think maybe the most extraordinary thing about the hot streak that Jules Gounon is on is the fact that he has won 3 of these IGDC races in 3 different cars with 3 different driver lineups, which to me is just extraordinary.
Certainly so. And he is a wheelman when it comes to Mercedes-AMG GT3s.
It's cool to be on pole at Indianapolis. I think it was Rick Mears who first said that.
Yeah. You got to say it a few times.
6 all-time record for the Rocket Rick Mears. Look at the early pace setters, including Alessandro Balzan. Now Jordan Pepper. Robbie Foley gave his BMW a good run, ended up 6th in the final analysis. In this car here, ST Racing, getting the late call-up. Samantha Tan saying the car was in pieces when we found out we were in. They did a nice job to set a competitive lap time not far off, and they will start 10th, the lone silver class car in the field. After the gamble, though, fresh tires late. Windward Racing capitalized. What a wild ride, though, for Jules Gounon. Using every inch of Roger Penske's racetrack.
10 cars, basically 3/4 of a second covering them all.
Well, that sets the stage nicely, doesn't it? We've got 8 hours of racing into the twilight to look forward to tomorrow for the first time ever with the Indianapolis 8-hour. We're looking forward to bringing all the action to you. That wraps up a fun Friday of activity here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks so much for joining us. For our entire crew, Amanda down in the pits, Calvin and Bob with me here in the booth, I'm Ryan saying so long for now. We'll see you tomorrow for the 3rd running of the Indianapolis 8-hour.